assisting with the investigations. Though he is skeptical that long-awaited joint political talks will materialize, opposition leader Bar Jagdeo says he is willing to give the conversation a fair shot in the name of national interest. Here are the details. Opposition leader Bar Jagdeo and President David Granger have finally agreed to have joint political talks, an activity which has been stagnant over the past 3 years. The agreement was made when the two leaders met at State House several days ago to discuss constitutional appointments. But the pair did not agree on a follow-up mechanism to ensure the conversation actually happens. Jagdeo explained that the People's Progressive Party is currently in campaign mode for the local government elections in November, and that Granger's party, the People's National Congress Reform, is gearing up for a Congress in August. They too will subsequently be focused on local government elections. Jagdeo is unsure of when exactly the talks will commence, and he is skeptical that it may not even happen. However, he remains hopeful.
We want to give it a fair shot. We want to give it a fair shot.
He made it clear, however, that engaging in dialogue with the government does not mean that the PPP will stop criticizing the administration.
These talks can't be just for convenience sake, that you want us to stop criticizing you because of your dismal record on safeguarding people, on crime and security. So you engage us in talks to muzzle us.
Previous attempts to initiate talks with the opposition have been dormant over the past 3 years, as Jagdeo refused to engage Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu, who was put to lead the activity. But the opposition leader believes that Nagamutu is a lightweight and that President Granger's decision to take over validates his opinion. Davina Samaru reporting for the newsroom. The United States Peace Corps this morning signed an agreement with the Ministry of Education to allow its volunteers to continue works in literacy, health, and environment in schools across Guyana. However, volunteers will be stationed in each administrative region, with the exception of Region 8, due to inadequate transportation methods from the coast to the region. Bibi Katoon has more details.
The Memorandum of Understanding was signed by Education Minister Nicolette Henry and Country Director of the Peace Corps Guyana, Corey Cobham, at the ministry's boardroom. The U.S. Peace Corps Country Director outlined that the agreement is a continuation of the volunteers' work in Guyana, which began in 1966. She noted that there are 37 volunteers in Essequibo who are being trained to commence work in September at schools in 10 administrative regions, with the exception of Region 8.
The reason for 8 is not that we don't want to go there, it's just our ability. Right now, the infrastructure for Region 8 has been a challenge for us to ensure that we're able to provide the support for volunteers there. We did go to the Tashao Council, National Tashao Council conference this year, and were approached by representatives from that region, so we hope to be attending a session with them in October and to talk about our ability to return to that region.
She later explained to Newsroom that with only air transportation being available to the region, there are no other means to get the volunteers in cases of emergency. However, U.S. Ambassador to Guyana, Perry Holloway, was quick to point out that volunteers have been there before, with one person currently stationed in one of the border communities. The ambassador highlighted the importance of educating youths, especially with the developing oil and gas industry.
The money being spent by the government and companies exploring is going to create demand for more chefs, just like it's going to create demand for more engineers. And because I suspect the government will take a lot of this revenue and build more schools, better schools, and probably hire more teachers. Minister
Henry lauded the work done by the volunteers over the years, noting that the ministry tries to complement the works of the Peace Corps. In March 1961, President John F. Kennedy created the Peace Corps to provide human resource and technical assistance to developing countries. Bibi Katoon, Newsroom.
Thank you, Bibi. More news ahead. Stay with us. Welcome back. A family is accusing the police in Madia Region 8 of abusing their authority after they arrested a father of 2 who was involved in a scuffle with a policeman over food. Lennox Matheson was reportedly taken into police custody Tuesday, and family members claimed that the police initially refused to place him on bail. Bibi Katoon has the details.
It is alleged that on Monday evening, 36-year-old Lennox Matheson went to a food vendor to purchase ital when a police officer in plain clothes, identified as Delon Scotland, arrived after him and placed an order. Matheson's sister, Abigail, spoke with the newsroom.
So he come up after Lennox and he turn and tell the food man, Jerry set up an ital, just set up a food for me, and Jerry started set up the food. He take out the doll in a little plastic cup and give it. So after Lennox see, Jerry give it the doll, Lennox turn and tell Jerry, which is the food man, that you tell him about it in front of the Rastaman.
Abigail Matheson said she witnessed the entire incident. She said that her brother and the policeman ended up in a fight, and a plastic cup of doll, which was in the hands of the police officer, eventually fell on both men.
The two then start to fight, right? They started scuffle. So after the started scuffle now, he get bond, the police have to get bond. And Lennox Matheson get bond because it's not a pot of doll, it's a small plastic cup with doll.
She recalled that the duo went separate ways after the fight was parted by another bystander. But the same evening, a group of police officers was combing the area in search of Lennox. The following morning, Lennox reportedly visited the police station in the company of his lawyer Dexter Todd, and he was charged.
When the story happened Monday night, the police don't take him medical. The police went in the club whole night Monday night till after 2 o'clock. Okay. And they're saying that he gets serious injury. He got no serious injury.
Lennox Matheson was today charged with disorderly behavior and assaulting a police officer, and was placed on $100,000 bail for both offences. Family members want to know why the police was not also charged. Bibi Khatoon, Newsroom.
Thank you, Bibi. Chairman of the International Decade for People of African Descent Assembly in Guyana, Vincent Alexander, today urged African business persons to organize themselves. He made the remarks during the Assembly's first one-stop business conference, where over 400 entrepreneurs attended.
African persons from all walks of life turned up to access the services of the Guyana Marketing Corporation, the Guyana Revenue Authority, IPED, the Small Businesses Bureau, and other agencies in the auditorium of the Critchlow Labour College. While some persons inquired how they can bring their businesses into compliance with various regulations, others sought advice to expand their services they offer.
I operate barbecue sauce business. It's SSS Natural Food Flavor Barbecue Sauce, and I operate from Orange Walk. I'm open to achieve at least to get loans or grants, so contribute to my business.
I really came to find out what it is. I only saw the notice this morning, so I come to find out about business opportunities, to do some networking, to see about funding and so on.
As a small business person, you always look for the opportunity to expand your business. And if you're not there financially, you always look to see where you can get the help to better your business, and to take it to the other levels.
I come to further my knowledge, give me a better scope into legalizing myself, see what scope they have in helping me grow, marketing, see what potential this forum has for us.
Chairman of the International Decade for People of African Descent Assembly in Guyana, Vincent Alexander, urged the African entrepreneurs to get organized. Meanwhile, Eric Phillips, president of the African Business Roundtable, during an interview with the newsroom, related that many of the businesses are not in possession of compliance documents.
Many of these companies haven't registered. Many don't have TIN. Many don't have NIS. So as you look around here, you'll see different ministries, different departments and ministries. You see Go Invest, see the Ministry of Communities, you see Small Business Bureau, you see GRA. They're here to help the folks here understand what steps they should take in order to be regularized.
In the 2018 budget, the organization was granted a subvention of $68 million. Additionally, on Friday, the government approved the spending of $17.3 million for Emancipation Day celebrations countrywide. Bibi Khatoon, Newsroom.
Now here's a look of other stories that made today's news. A 25-year-old vendor was on Wednesday charged and released on $350,000 bail for raping a 12-year-old girl. Stephon Bell of Port Kaituma Waterfront was not required to plead to the charge when it was read to him by Chief Magistrate Anne McLennan. The charge alleged that on July 14, 2018, he invited the child into his home at Waterfront Port Kaituma and then forced himself on her and raped her. The child reported the matter to a social worker, and the matter was then reported to the police. Bell did not have a lawyer in court and was subsequently released on bail. The matter was transferred to the Matthews Ridge Magistrates Court for August 7th. The private plane which was detained at the Chedi Jagan International Airport has been released. About 2 weeks ago, the aircraft, which transported several Venezuelan attorneys to Guyana, was detained by law enforcement officers for landing here under questionable circumstances. But the Guyana Police Force in a statement today said an investigation into the matter has been completed and as legally advised, there was no reason to further detain the aircraft. The investigation was done by a unit comprising of senior ranks of the Criminal Investigations Department, the Guyana Defense Force, the Civil Aviation Authority, the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit, and the CJIA. Local businessman Michael Brassington, as well as pilots and several senior officials of the Venezuelan embassy, also formed part of the team. Police say the individuals cooperated fully as was necessary. It was reported that Brassington had invited the delegation to Guyana. Police revealed that the data plate was located by the investigative team on the very aircraft, and the logbook was also located, which indicated that the plane had been in use since 2014. All outstanding documents which were required were submitted to the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority. 3 men were on Wednesday charged for breaking into a Chinese store along Alexander Street, Georgetown, and stealing $4.6 million worth in items. Those charged were 36-year-old Paul Roberts of Alexander Village, 41-year-old Martin Murray of Charlotte Street, and 41-year-old Troy Holmes of South Rumvelt. They appeared in court before Magistrate Fabio Azor and denied the joint charge. It is alleged that between July 20th to the 21st, 2018, at Alexander Street, they broke and entered the store of Zon Hong Fu and stole 100 backpacks along with other items amounting to $4.6 million. The prosecution made no objection to bail, and the men were released on $75,000 each. The matter was adjourned until August 15th. When the newsroom returns, regional and international headlines along with the financial, weather and... Welcome back. Bibi Kutu now joins us with major headlines from the region and around the world.
Thank you, Divina. We start off with news from Trinidad and Tobago, where Pundit Satyanan Maharaj says he is considering lodging a complaint with the Equal Opportunities Commission against Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago Dr. Keith Rowley over what he says is Dr. Rowley's bias against the Indian community. According to the Newsday, the pundit alleged that Dr. Rowley hosted Emancipation Day celebrations at the Diplomatic Center on Sunday, and most government ministers and officials attended. However, he said the Prime Minister did not host similar celebrations for other events, such as Indian Arrival Day, which was celebrated on May 30th.
Welcome back to the newsroom. We start off with some rugby. The senior national male rugby team, commonly known as the Green Machine, has one objective as they head to Colombia for the Central America and Caribbean Games, and that is to win gold. Akim Green has the details.
In 2010 at the Central American and Caribbean Games, they did it. They won gold when they defeated Jamaica, 1-7 at the National Stadium Providence. It was Sid Joy, which still stands as the lone team gold medal of the game since 1926. Since that great hurrah, they have not attended another CAC, and for that reason, Captain Dwayne Schroeder, speaking to Newsroom Sport on Wednesday, at the team's departure contended to see themselves as defending champions and want to play with the golden arrowhead pride on their chests.
Well, going back as we said, we got in mind that we're the defending champion of the CAC since we never got a chance to play back after 2010. So we're going back with a defending cap, looking to bring back gold for Guyana. Following up on the last, all the games we're playing now with the CAC, Guyana really medaling. So rugby now going to be open to bring gold for Guyana for make us proud and ready flag fight in the CAC.
Schroeder, who's also a sergeant in the Guyana Defence Force, further noted the senior players would need to rise to the occasion and guide the newbies. The captain was there when they last had success, and for him, the love for the sport drives him to never give up.
Well, this time we get some youths into the team, so they get a lot of junior guys to bring. We expect them to come to the table, and we expect them to perform well at the CACJ. Me as a senior player now, having the role to play as a captain, that's always been stepped up. I always step up, so now I have to step up more and lead from the kickoff, lead my team into the battle. We got the face over there already, so it's a very important role for me to lead them from in front. And I'll be happy with the senior guys. We could pull off this tournament. No sweat about it.
Returning as coach of the team is Lawrence Adonis, who from a tactical standpoint felt they have covered most areas of preparation, despite not having a structured training facility.
As good as could be possible, because like you know before, we had a little trouble with the weather and the ground and so on. We end up getting the last 2 weeks we got some good practice in. So everybody rearing to. We have the 3 other players to reach down in Panama before we get to Colombia. And when we get there, we got a few days to work with to get everything together. But I think by the end of the time when we're ready to go, we're going to be really up and running.
Placed in Pool A alongside its host, Colombia, Mexico and Costa Rica, they are set to play their first match on August 1st against Costa Rica. The full teams reads Dwayne Shooter captain, Claudius Butts, Irvi Corbin, Richard Staglin, People Hamilton, Patrick King, Ronald Mears, Jamal Angus, Gotti Brooms, Ron McArthur, and Ryan Gonzalez. For the newsroom, Akeem Green.
West Indies all-rounder Kimo Paul, who is also the brand ambassador of VNet Communications, gave his teammates an insight of his office job on Tuesday evening. The 20-year-old Paul, who has been the brand ambassador at the company since 2017, took 6 of his teammates to the entity's Delft Street, Camberville location. Present were Captain Jason Holder, Evan Lewis, Shai Hope, Jason Mohammed, Kieran Powell, and bowling coach Corey Collymore. Paul took some time to explain to the players the works of how the company provides satellite communication to remote areas in Guyana. President of the Ghana Olympic Association, K.A. Juman Hassan, said he is looking forward to the implementation of the eagerly anticipated national sport policy. As such, he is urging the powers that be to act swiftly in implementing the policy.
The Ministry of Social Cohesion recently issued a draft policy for public feedback after several attempts at consultations with various stakeholders over the years. Though at the point of his comment, Yassin had not perused the document, he made his desire known that the policy should be implemented. He called on the relevant stakeholders to do what is necessary to ensure the policy becomes a functional national document.
We had appointed a committee before this minister to interact with the ministry. I know they had one meeting and nothing else. I mean, I want the sports policy to come out like yesterday. But there's a new minister now, Mr. Norton, and I can't lay too much of blame on him because he's new. So he will have to take his time for that policy to come out, because when it comes out, it will come out as a document from his ministry. But it has been languishing too long in the corridors, in the offices or the cabinets of the Ministry of Sports. But for Dr. Norton, I don't lay too much of blame him as yet, because it's recent, right? And I want to get on good with him.
The national sports policy has been on the table for years now, passing through the hands of several sport ministers of successive administrations. At this point, there is no definitive timeline for its implementation. Reporting for Newsroom, I'm Avinash Ramzan.
On Friday, the first leg of the Guinness National Playoffs will be contested in West Demerara, and the organizers are expecting pulsating action. More from Akeem Green.
The Porter in Tarmac, the venue for the opening night of the Guinness Greatest of the Street Football National Playoffs, will be teeming with excitement as eager fans finally get an opportunity to exhale after holding their breath in anticipation of the start of the popular street phenomenon. The first of 3 nights of what is expected to provide a pulsating action for the right to be crowned the best team in the country in a street format will see 8 matches played before the competition moves to Haslington Tarmac on August 1st, with the final set for the National Stadium at Providence on August 4th. The tournament, now in its 9th edition, has become the most talked about event of the short version, and organizers have worked overtime to make the experience for fans an exciting one. In terms of tournament success, Georgetown teams have dominated in this partnered Sparta Boss, the most successful of the lot, while teams such as Back Circle, Leopold Street, Westfront Road, Tiger Bay all tasted victory well before Linden's, David Salinas All-Stars broke the stronghold last year. The fact that the national title is no longer in the hands of the Georgetown team, regarded as traditional powerhouses, is enough evidence to suggest that this year's battle for supremacy will be enthralling from the first kick-off. For the newsroom, Akim Green.
Thank you, Akim. And finally in sport, some cricket news. Steve Smith is set to play his second T20 tournament after being axed from Australian cricket for his involvement in the ball tampering scandal. Smith has now signed with Barbados Tridents for the upcoming CPL season after he played the Global T20 Canada tournament earlier this month. Smith will replace Shakib Al Hassan in the Trident squad as the Bangladesh all-rounder is no longer available for the tournament. David Warner, who was also banned for 1 year from the Australian cricket like Smith, is going to represent St. Lucia Stars in the CPL. And that brings us to the end of this evening's newscast. The details of our stories can be found at newsroom.gy and on our